Beyond rough looking, the unseen victory in Tammy Slaton's loose skin. The headline landed like a dropped dumbbell. It's kind of rough looking 1000. LB SISTRR's Chris Combs breaks silence after Tammy Slaton's skin removal surgery. Instantly, the internet crackled with predictable reactions, gasps of imagined horror, judgment passed on Chris's bluntness, and the relentless, dehumanizing scrutiny of a body that has fought a monumental battle. But beneath the sensationalism and the casual cruelty of online commentary, a far more profound, messy, and ultimately triumphant story was unfolding, one that Chris's offhand remark barely scratched the surface of. Chris Combs, Tammy's brother and fellow traveler on the brutal road of extreme obesity documented on TLC's 1000, LB SISTRRs, wasn't speaking to a tabloid reporter in a calculated soundbite. He was likely caught mid-thought, perhaps in a candid confessional for the show itself, or in an unguarded moment with family. His words, rough-looking, weren't uttered with malice, but with the jarring, unfiltered honesty that often characterizes siblings who've shared trauma. It was the observation of a man who knew Tammy at her absolute heaviest, bedridden, struggling for breath, facing death daily, and who now stood witness to the raw, unvarnished aftermath of her staggering 400-plus pound weight loss. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel. To focus solely on the phrase rough-looking is to miss the entire forest for one gnarly, scarred tree. Imagine the landscape Chris was describing, not with a critic's eye, but with the stunned gaze of someone who remembers the before in visceral detail. Tammy's body wasn't just carrying loose skin, it was carrying the literal, physical remnants of a life lived under crushing weight. The skin removal surgery, a massive procedure, often involving multiple surgeons, hours on the table, and significant risk, wasn't a cosmetic luxury. It was a necessary, grueling step in reclaiming basic function. That rough appearance Chris noted? It was the battlefield after the war had been won. Think of the sheer volume. Skin stretched beyond its natural elasticity for years, holding hundreds of pounds, doesn't snap back like a rubber band. It hangs, heavy folds of tissue devoid of fat, a constant, uncomfortable reminder. Simple acts, walking without chafing, finding clothes that fit properly, even sitting comfortably, remained elusive challenges despite the incredible weight loss. The skin wasn't just an aesthetic issue, it was a physical burden, a source of chronic irritation, potential infection, and a barrier to the mobility Tammy had fought so hard to gain. The surgery itself is a Herculean feat. It's not a nip and tuck, it's a radical reconstruction. For someone like Tammy, who started at such an extreme weight, it likely involved 1. A circumferential body lift, belt lipectomy, removing a large apron of skin and tissue from the abdomen, hips, lower back, and buttocks, pulling everything taut and repositioning the navel. Imagine removing a literal belt of skin several inches wide. 2. Thighplasty, addressing the heavy, hanging skin on the inner and outer thighs, requiring long, significant incisions. 3. Brachioplasty, removing the excess skin dangling from the upper arms. 4. Mastopexy, breast lift, addressing severe deflation and sagging of the breasts. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel. Each procedure carries risks, significant blood loss, infection, poor wound healing, especially critical for patients with a history of obesity, blood clots, nerve damage, and the potential for revision surgeries. Recovery is agonizing. Drains protrude from multiple sites, movement is severely restricted for weeks, pain is managed but ever present, and the sheer length of the incisions, often spanning the entire circumference of the body or the length of limbs, is daunting. The initial result? Not the smooth, airbrushed after picture society expects. It's swollen, bruised, stitched, stapled, and scarred. It's raw. It's rough-looking. This is the crucial context Chris's comment, however clumsily phrased, inadvertently highlights. He wasn't commenting on a failed result. He was reacting to the brutal, immediate reality of major trauma inflicted for the sake of healing and liberation. His rough looking wasn't a judgment on Tammy's worth or the surgeon's skill. It was the stunned acknowledgement of the sheer physical toll this final, necessary battle had extracted. Tammy Slaton's journey transcends aesthetics. Her victory isn't defined by achieving a conventionally perfect body. It's defined by escaping death's door, from needing a tracheotomy and being confined to a bed, reliant on others for basic needs, to walking, breathing freely, and engaging with the world. Reclaiming independence, the ability to move, to care for herself, to leave her house without a Herculean effort. Removing the excess skin is a critical step in solidifying this independence, reducing physical impediments and discomfort. Mental fortitude, the psychological resilience required to lose that much weight, confront deep-seated emotional issues often linked to obesity, and then willingly undergo multiple, painful, disfiguring surgeries is staggering. It speaks to a determination few can comprehend. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel. Enduring the gaze, living her transformation, including the messy, painful, rough parts, under the relentless glare of reality TV cameras and public scrutiny requires a different kind of courage entirely. When Chris said rough looking, he wasn't diminishing Tammy's achievement. He was inadvertently pointing to its profound, hard-won nature. That rough skin is a testament. It's the scar tissue of survival. It's the map of a journey from near total physical imprisonment to hard-fought freedom. It's the visible evidence of pounds lost not just through diet, but through sweat, tears, surgical steel, and an indomitable will. The real story isn't Chris Combs calling his sister's body rough. The real story is Tammy Slaton choosing to endure the rough, the pain, the scars, the public dissection, because she knows what lies beneath is worth it. A life unburdened, literally and figuratively. A life she very nearly didn't have. The rough-looking phase is temporary. Swelling subsides. Bruises fade. Scars, while permanent, mature and soften, becoming silvery lines that tell a story of resilience, not ruin. Tammy's after isn't a photo shoot-ready moment weeks after surgery. Her true after is unfolding every day she lives with greater ease, every step taken without hindrance, every breath drawn freely. It's the life she's building after the skin removal, after the cameras, after RT the headlines. Chris Combs's comment, stripped of its tabloid framing, is perhaps the most honest testament to the visceral reality of Tammy's transformation. It wasn't pretty. It wasn't easy, and the immediate aftermath of this final battle was indeed rough. But that roughness isn't the failure, it's the badge. It's the undeniable proof of a war waged and won against impossible odds. Tammy Slaton didn't just lose weight, she shed a suffocating existence. And if the skin that remains tells a story that looks rough to some, to those who understand the battle, it looks like nothing less than a monument to courage. The victory isn't in the smoothness of the skin, but in the strength of the spirit that carried her through the fire to reclaim her body and her life. The view from the summit, even if the path up was brutal and the gear is battered, is always breathtaking. That's the view Tammy has earned, rough edges and all. Subscribe the channel to get such videos.